So
speaking of provisioning devices, does anyone remember like the early days of Xcode iOS provisioning? It was a complete nightmare.
Right.
Just the provisioning profiles, and you had to provision things manually and import them in Xcode, and it took like as long to go through that process as it did to write a single app.
But it involves lots of cryptographic keys as well. As soon as you touch public-private key systems, it gets a lot very messy, very fast.
So for the time being, since you already have an impersonation problem, I think you can probably allow there to continue to be an impersonation problem.
I know that's it's probably that's something that would be nice to fix.
Yeah, but
That's completely separate.
it's a problem either way.
And again, you can assume that like
Jonathan, I took some.
this is something that you check out whenever you get the
He
log.
created that. He created
When
that
you ingest
document.
the log, you check the signature, etc. That sort of thing, and then it doesn't have any.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, Peter created that document.
Yeah.
Everybody else should like be less apt to
assume
work
that
on it than
you
you know, like
don't
Peter should be on it more
Create
than
and
anybody.
store a measurement if you're happy it's
Yeah.
legitimate.
Yes,
And you take
absolutely.
care of
It was one of the things when I was doing the kits, and like I updated like every single day, and when I hand off to Dan, I was like, got to make sure that this is updated every single time.
This side is a mess.
It is, because he just like hands it off to people, and then they don't come to work, and then he doesn't know what's going on, and then he's got to find out where they are.
Yeah, so
I mean, some of the stuff shows a database level constraint, but it's not really possible to put it as a database level constraint.
Possibly. I can't do anything about it.
Maybe the basic protections could just be the UI pages that or whatever that
question
would create or
about,
update.
actually, what data do we need to collect?
Some of this device stuff.
Yes, we do. We do.
I think so.
Yes.
Some people don't.
You know,
think so.
Who doesn't think so?
Channel can only belong to one sensor, only belong to one, whatever.
Because, I said, well, he said, well, why do you need the email?
First thing you
So
raise.
you need to update people what's going on with shit.
He says, well, that's spam mail.
It's not spam mail. They're out there. They're buying shit. They're customers.
That's kind of what I think.
Yes.
I don't agree with. I mean, I don't agree with him.
It could be implemented as a database
I
level
really
constraint.
want
It's
that.
not joint.
And I really want to get a loader program.
Yeah.
Problem is, I don't know.
With that
I
complication,
can't
it would
figure
be.
out. I mean,
We have to be able to let people know if there's problems. Like if something
well, for
comes
the
up,
time being, the thing I think I'd like to do is just make
if
a
there's
single version of this
maybe 6
airlog
months from
data.
now, we find out that there's a huge fucking flaw in the software on it, or something, or whatever, or there's a bad chip or something that we need to replace. Like,
if you really have a moment, if you could say something like that.
Just take-
So collecting email addresses.
Just take this much of it.
Coming from you.
I mean, when he comes in, I'll just talk to him.
No, I mean, no. I want to talk to Joe, but put it in the Slack.
Well, I didn't. I mean, it would be out of. There's no discussion about it. So it's kind of a blue thing. Make sure we got it correct.
No, it's not out of there because we're talking about updating it with
And then
email
collapse
address.
that back
So
onto one
so
line.
say why it's important.
Right.
And so I don't think it's out of the blue.
Okay.
When you have time.
Okay.
What we should have here is something that looks like what the data will look like, but includes the IDs for gas sensors. So we should be able to work off of this. Oh, is someone here? Or... Hey, it's Joe.
Yeah. Sorry.
Hey, Joe.
Good morning.
Sorry, I had more trouble joining the Hangout than I expected.
Oh, yeah.
I had to click through like 6 or 8 little. Do you allow microphones? Will you allow this to be streamed online? Like, agree? Sorry, I'm busy putting together parts and stuff for the working on the point cast, and I didn't realize that 10 o'clock snuck up on me, so I said I would just sign in.
Yeah, it snuck up on us too. I was like, hey, it's 10:05. Oh, I need to get that out of it. Yeah, we're deep in trying to figure out what the error JSON file should look like, such that we can ingest it with some degree of confidence.
Okay.
I don't know if
Okay. Anything going? What happened so far? What have I missed?
so it's kind of, it's all a continuation of yesterday, but the probably the main thing the topic of conversation right now is in the Safecast Air Slack channel, if you have that handy. I just did like a draft of what we're probably going to need the individual data blobs from the Air to look like, so that we can map them back up to channel IDs, aka device IDs, when we do the import.
Okay, I'll look at it as soon as I get a minute, because I've got to close the screen or get another device. It'd probably be easier.
The upshot is that it gets a little bit heavier, because essentially for every, like what we were talking about yesterday, we assign a unique number to each value that the whole unit is capable of producing. So for example, like a parts per billion and a parts per billion filtered would both have their own unique numbers.
Right. Okay.
Which I think the simplest thing to do is basically just have those numbers accompany each data blob, which makes each data blob.
Yeah,
but we're also talking like SD card space, right? We're not talking about 3G right now, so I think that seems
right.
Seems
even
kind
3G, it's still small data. If you look at the bGeigie example, we have each row is like 90 characters, and there's 6 or 8 characters that are just an ID that this is a bGeigie line, and then there's there's huge in it. From one line to the next, typically 90 characters, and 3 or 4 of them change.
Yeah. So I think we're basically going to do something really similar, where like it's going to be quite a bit more than 90, because we have that much more, that many more values to deal with.
Well, it's going to be variable too, because I don't think we should, we're going to have comma and then field, and the field could be 0 or it could be 9 digits.
Yep, exactly, since it's JSON based. So yeah, it's going to be heavier, but I think we're okay with that, and it keeps things a bit more straightforward when it comes to mapping up data as it comes in. It will make the initial provisioning, like we talked about this yesterday, but the initial provisioning of the device is going to be a little bit more complex, because essentially, so for this Air unit that we have right here, you're going to have to assign it 51 new numeric IDs. But I think we can kind of automate our way out of that, so that we could potentially have something on the admin interface where when you're bringing a new Air unit up, you say, okay, you basically describe your new unit, what sensor it has, and all that kind of thing, and then say, click a button, say, give me my config file, and what it would do is spit out a config file with IDs that match up with what's in the database, and then you drop that on SD.
Well, so far we've been assigning on the point casts. The most recent point cast there will be 100091 and 100092.
Yeah.
Do we have to have whole numbers for the IDs?
That should be.
Well, I don't know if it makes a huge difference. I mean,
what I'm thinking is we assign a 3 or 4 digit number for the station or the box or whatever we're calling that, and then the sensors inside become 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. Then that number, that identification, can grow in both directions.
No, this is a database.
Because you have no limit of the number of. Nick, huh?
This is a database primary key. We can't really be implementing this as a floating point number.
Okay.
I mean, we could if we want to do a lookup or something, but it still has to resolve down to a primary key. And if we could do a lookup, then we have to keep track of and administrate it.
So what is this key for? The key is an identification for the for what?
For what you might call a channel, but what we're calling a device,
right? For
legacy reasons.
Well, the definitions are changing fast enough that I can't keep up.
Well, it's still the same definition. We just had to name it differently because legacy compatibility.
Admittedly, it's confusing.
And it's very confusing.
Okay. Hang on, I'm trying to get this change over to do this on my computer where I've got more resources. I can use a bigger screen. I'm just right now. I'm on my iPad, but how do I find I guess I can find it in Slack, huh?
Yeah, I posted in the Slack Air channel what I'm proposing for the new JSON format.
No, where can I find this Hangout on? I'm looking at Hangouts on a different system, and it's
on the Slack channel.
It's not there.
Pretty much all.
There's a link in which channel? In the events channel?
API events and October 2015. And I put one in Air just for good measure. I just need a tool which spams every single channel.
I found it. Yeah, but it's got it's okay. It opens up in a browser. No.
My computer's awesome.
How can I open it in Hangout? Ah, here we go.
How much cleaning, Joe? Jesus.
I like the Joe complains with the, like, you hear the experience in every complaint about technology of someone who's been working with technology for so long.
No, it's certainly my limitation here.
With every year, you're
It's not quite sure how to. I've got the link now, and I still can't get to the. Is this it? That one's from Wednesday. Matt, Rob, Nick, Colin was just trying to.
I'm just going to message you the link directly.
There it is. Did somebody else just join?
I think it's is Colin trying to call the Google Talk again? Yeah.
Okay, gotta hang this up.
Join a video call on Hangouts. Not this.
Yeah, so Hangout on errors.
All right.
How many engineers does it take to get a video shot record? Oh, no. Did the angle change? No.
There we go. That's better.
Hey.
Oh, what's happening here?
What's that?
Oh, just saying, hey, you there?
Yep. Now I've got more resources.
Good. So, do you have your Slack handy?
Yep, it's already open.
Well,
Looking at air.
Safecast Air. There's a big blob. This is
Safecast.
what you're looking at here would actually be one line in the file, and it's basically the same as what we had today. I've just injected IDs.
Dev is air 001.
No, further down. So in like the gas sensor, there's this concept of IDs, and so each value is given a unique identifier. So like the WRK gets ID 1. Obviously the numbers.
Every measurement has a unique identifier.
Everything that can produce a measurement. So like the unique value itself. So it's I'm not giving 0.27 unique identifier. I'm giving the WRK channel of the NO2 sensor of device ID 1 a unique number.
Okay, I'm gonna just have to say it's over my head, and I'll have to wait and hope enlightenment comes in a little while.
Okay. But like anything else would sort of, we talked around it a couple of times, and like it would be great to say like, okay, I know Air 01 is configured this way, but then you have this problem of like there's going to be multiple O2 sensors, so you can't just say like, oh well, I know this O2 sensor of this device is going to be this ID, because you might have two, or someone might decide to change it from position 1 to position 2 on the board. Hey, Will.
Hello. How's it going?
Good timing.
Hey, Will.
So, have you had a chance to take a look at what was in the Air channel? Jason Blob?
Hang on a second. Let me turn my volume down here for a second. I'm getting slammed. There we go. That's better. In the Air channel, a little bit. I haven't looked a whole lot. I can look now.
So basically what we've been discussing kind of since yesterday, but more specifically this morning, because we're basically at the point where we're trying to, we have the upload working. Now we're just trying to actually like get the data from the file down into the data model that we've worked out. And we think it's probably best to give each of the sort of I'm just going to use the simpler terms as opposed to the database terms. So
Yes.
is to give each of the channels their own unique identifier that the error device itself would be configured with, so that it would have to know that like the ID number for the WRK value that comes out of my CO2 sensor at header 0 position 1 is ID 37. And so whenever it produces data onto the SD card, it would also write, here's my value, and that value should be tied back to ID 37.
So what is ID 37? I mean, just is that that's like the serial number of the device, or?
It's actually the serial number of the specific channel of the specific sensor inside the specific device. So that way, essentially, for like any measurement value inside of our database, we can tie it back to like a very specific set of hardware components.
So is this like a record number, if it were like in Access?
Yep.
So I guess one of the things I was envisioning having was, a configuration file that accompanies the data files that things are only written once to. Things like the serial numbers for each sensor, like the number that's actually written on the side, and so it's not like repeated over and over again with each data entry. I just wanted to put enough information in the data entries so that when you manually look at it, you can figure out sort of where the sensor is on the device and things like that.
Yeah, so one of the things, the two options I feel like we have here are, one is so what I've done here is just embed the IDs directly in the individual data lines. Obviously, it makes the lines a bit larger, but the advantage is that every line can be taken as a discrete unit, and every line already has all the information it needs to be processed. The other option, if it makes things any easier in your world, is we could have the parser first look for a message type config or something like that, as opposed to a message type dat, and that config line contains all the structure information necessary, and then it goes on to read the lines. The downside being, if for some reason that config line ever got separated from the dat lines, we wouldn't be able to load the dat lines.
Right.
That makes sense?
Yeah. I mean, from my perspective, it doesn't really matter. I don't think we're using up the SD card. I mean, there's plenty of space on those.
Yeah, and if we at the HTTP request, it's not I don't think we're going to be really blowing out the size of the HTTP request either.
So I mean, if we put that information in the JSON log entries, I think it'd be fine from my perspective. It doesn't really.
Cool. All right, so I think with that in mind, what we're going to do is basically post-process the files that we have from your device so far to include some of these database identifiers. Think about what you need in terms of a configuration file so that you can actually write these IDs into the JSON. And then one of the things we can do, obviously, we'll supply you IDs because they're going to match up to what's in our database. But if we know what the format of that configuration looks like for your device, what we should be able to do is build helper systems inside of API that allow you to pre-generate what that config file is going to look like with the IDs. So that way you don't have to copy and paste 51 elements every time you version a new device.
So how are you planning on generating these? I mean, is this going to be something like the serial number with an add-on, or where are these?
By the database.
Yeah, created by the database. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the database has auto-incrementing integer columns that we're just going to use for this.
And it maps those numbers to the specific sensor serial number or what have you.
Yeah, so it would know. So that number basically assigns a specific channel. For any given channel, we have data about what device that channel belongs to, and then that device knows what. For every channel, we know what sensor that belongs to. For every sensor, we know what device that is supposed to be connected to. And then for every device, we know what station that is supposed to be a component of.
Okay.
So that way, essentially, you're giving us a lot of numbers, but on the plus side, it identifies very, very discreetly which value we're looking at. And even if you decide to, we flirted with the idea of saying, okay, well, we know the CO2 at header 0, position 0 is this thing, but it feels like then we run the risk of, if a sensor moves around, or if we don't choose the right set of unique identifiers from the JSON, we could easily run into a situation where the data that we think is from this particular sensor is actually from a different sensor. We might end up, incorrectly identifying failing sensors and that sort of thing. Whereas if we stick to like it's got to be ID 35, and we know that this particular parts per billion value is number 35, which we know ties it back to this sensor and this device and this thing, then it should make it a lot easier to kind of rectify any oddities in the data. Any kind of like, if we see values going askew all of a sudden, we can tell you with some confidence what specific sensor that is that's causing the weird value without having to necessarily go and debug the device directly.
Right. Right.
So yeah, it's a little heavy. It's early provisioning in the butt, but I think we can probably automate that. So in the meantime, I think the main thing is just like I said, we'll plan to post-process the data that we have so far from your device, but we're going to need some help from you getting the next set of files to include these identifiers.
Yeah. If you give me the format, like with the changes you want, I can add that in.
Yeah. So what I posted in the channel, I can put it on like a gist or something or whatever works for you. But essentially, what I did is for every sensor's object, I added an ID's key, and the ID contains a mapping of like what. So if you look for gas under like NO2. Actually, I can probably just do a screen share here.
Yeah, I can see it right here. Yeah.
Where's that?
I'm looking at the Safecast Air. So you've got IDs, and it's got like work, aux, PPB.
Yeah.
Fill.
So this is the main thing here. And so basically, for each one of these blobs, I've added an ID's key, which tells me for each other key in the blob what channel ID it maps to.
Right. And then those would be sorry.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Those would be numbers that I have in some setup file on the SD card that I read in, and then, yep.
And then this one is a little bit weird because it also has a histogram, so each value in the histogram also needs its own unique identifier. I sort of just took a crack at what that might look like. If we need to change the shape of this a little bit, that's fine too.
Histogram is an engine. Maybe that would be worse, so just one entry.
The one gotcha there though is for right now we're running under the assumption that we're trying to normalize everything down to like single floating point values, and the only way I could maybe see doing that is adding a second to the measurements table that we most of the time don't fill in. Yeah. So like I said, the one for the histogram is a little funky just because you also have to have this array of like for each integer or each value in the histogram, what ID does that map up to?
Right.
My guess is this will probably be okay, but if you needed to say like do a min and a max instead, that would be fine.
Right. I don't see it. I don't see a problem. I mean.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll roll with this. I'm going to hand create a very small portion of like what this will look like and start cracking on a test for ingest. And then probably what we're going to need to do, and maybe this will actually be a good place to split off work a little bit, is we're going to need someone to write a post processor for the data that we have right now. So given a config file and a JSON blob, it needs to spit out new JSON blobs which look like this. And that doesn't have to live inside the API. That can actually just be a script out on its own somewhere. Cool. Let me get back to the Hangout here. Cool. Yeah, so that was the big topic of the morning. So long as we're all pretty square on that, I think we can keep moving. Yeah, I think maybe going forward, let's all just plan to use the entity names that make sense. And since most people aren't actually looking at the Rails code or the database code that closely, we can let the people that do that actually do the mental mapping. Yeah. So just for sake of simplification, let's stick with the station, device, sensor, and channel nomenclature, because I feel like every one of these conversations is just getting a little bit silly how we have to.
Well, I'm going to say that I'm just going to stand back and let it go because I really am not getting it all. But you guys obviously kind of know what you're doing, so I'm gonna.
Sounds good.
Gonna, if it turns out that it does something terrible, I might say, hey, what you guys did doesn't work. But that right now I can't say that because it looks like it's fine. But it's not like I'm examining and saying, yeah, this is good. I'm thinking like I don't understand. Whatever.
Cool. Works for me. You can get back to your point cast sensors then.
Yeah. Well, I'm also looking for. I'm trying to get the. I'm putting together a battery pack for the air sensor there, and
Yeah.
fasteners, and I tried to find an old backpack I could glue to it, but I don't know. We'll do something.
Cool. Sounds good.
Okay. Let's see. It's already 10:30. I may go through Akihabara on the way. Where's Ed?
Right here.
Ed here. He's here.
You wanna like meet me there around noon, or what do you wanna do? You want me to come to Shibuya and we go back? It's not that far to go back from Shibuya.
I can meet you there. Yeah. Just tell me where and.
Okay, you have communication, so we can hook up. We can meet up in case you don't find the exact spot.
I'll give you my phone number.
Sorry, I got a bunch of feedback. What?
I'll give you my phone number.
Oh, you have a phone that works here?
Yeah, I do. I put it on Slack, okay?
Yep, great.
Good. Anything else we wanted to cover? Sounded like is Eve like on a flight right now, from what people gather?
Well, since Ed and I are going through Akihabara, does anybody have any orders? They have something they need. I got one from Colin. He needs some connectors. Anybody else have anything they want us to pick up?
John?
What?
Akihabara? Anybody need anything?
I sent Joe a message on Slack about getting the small parts back, but I don't think.
Yep. We're gonna. But that I need to coordinate with Wilder because he's coming in the afternoon and he's going to buy enough for like 50 kits. So I don't want to buy enough for 5 kits. And you're there. Jonathan, when are you going to? How are we on screws and standoffs and stuff?
Got them all yesterday.
You did.
Hi.
How many did you get for how many kits?
For 40.
Okay, so that's enough to be able to give 5 sets to Sean. Okay, so I'll just pick up the stuff I need. Well, the kits he's getting are going to be part of these, right? Part of the 40?
What?
Should I get more, or can we get him out of that 40?
I was just told to get parts for 40 from Peter, so I'm assuming he knows all the kits that are necessary for Japan. I doubt that he was, but I don't know.
This is
actually, I know Peter's decision on the 40, and that was how much he was willing to like kind of extend on expenses right now. We're going to need like 60 or 80 by February of next year.
So that's total for all of Safecast, or is that Japan?
That's just for the stuff that Peter and I and you are involved in. That's not all in Japan because Peter's taking 10 to Europe, and Sean needs 5, and we need 30 for Hong Kong. So that's not inside Japan. That's just But I don't know if there's others outside of that set. That could be for South America.
But I didn't just buy standoffs yesterday. I bought a whole bunch of stuff for 40 kits. The only thing that's missing is the stuff that Peter's responsible for, which are the boards, the
got the boards.
Also the headers.
Headers.
So I don't have headers yet. But he's responsible for that.
Okay, well, I have to go to the screw shop. That's why I was asking, and but I have to buy some stuff for the point cast, not anything for.
I think to keep things simple is let me just give to Sean from stock.
Yeah, and then we'll replace them as needed. It's not going to be critical. We need. I think Peter said we want 6 kits or 10 kits for Friday.
Yeah,
for Aizu.
5 for Aizu plus a few extra, and 11 next week. My main problem is batteries. If you can rustle up some batteries.
I brought 8.
I know they're all gone. I need more.
I know
I'll have a look at Akizuki Denki and at Sengoku for batteries, but I'm not hopeful.
Yeah. Well, I was at Akizuki yesterday. They did a renovation, by the way. Looks nice.
Yeah, I've seen that. Also, we've got a whole bunch. Peter ordered a bunch of these Chinese batteries that we're going to have to rework the connectors on, but I think we've got like 30 of them coming in.
Well, I would say nothing for me today, except batteries.
Okay. Okay, so Ed, what time do you want to meet in Akihabara?
Sorry?
What time do you want to meet?
Your time is probably your time. I don't know how long it takes to get there. So.
From where you are, it's going to take about 30 minutes, maybe 35. From where I am, it's going to take about 35, 40 minutes. So.
Okay.
I've got a couple things I'm going to finish up here, so I'll leave at 11. Should we meet there at 11:45?
11:45. Okay. And tell me,
my wife.
So precisely where you want to meet.
Huh?
Tell me precisely where you want.
I'm trying to figure out a way I can give you an exact location. that you can find.
Email address, a store.
Well, we're probably better off to meet inside the station.
Okay.
On the Yamanote line platform.
It's a separate company
Mhm.
that's going to sell them.
So you're going to be on the you're going to get there on the Yamanote line, which is the green trains.
Okay, green. That's something you can work with.
The green line.
Okay.
On the green line, and when you get to Akihabara, just stay on the platform, like near car 7.
The pieces that we're talking about.
Okay.
Is all of the.
Sounds good. I'll be on Slack anyways.
So Sean, which way is he going to go? Is he going to go through Shinagawa or through Ikebukuro?
Sean's in the middle of conversation over here.
It's about the same.
Okay, well, anyway, on the Yamanote line platform near car number 7, if I get the direction wrong, you'll just look across the and I'll be on that platform right across from you. It'll be we'll see each other. Okay. You basically have to go 180 degrees around a loop line, and so you can go either clockwise or counterclockwise. And there's 2 separate platforms, but they're and you can see across them, so we'll find each other.
Okay, just give me your number.
Let me put it back in the same place you put mine, yours.
Hey Joe. Yeah. Buy the little iRover adapter things.
Little iRover adapter thingies. What are those?
You know, the fucking.
It's replacing the 3 wires.
The goddamn iRover thing.
We get those from SparkFun.
Yeah, we already write this.
More?
Did?
Are you sure? Okay. Never mind. Sorry. Never mind.
All good?
Okay.
So,
That's the one you showed yesterday.
take care of that.
Joe?
Yep, what's that?
That's the one you showed yesterday, no?
You want to take some back?
Maybe. Did I show it to you yesterday? I gave one to some guy from ASIJ the night before last, but.
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, I sent because Peter was trying to work out a price or whatever, and I told him.
Cool.
Okay, put together something.
I think we're probably pretty good.
45.
All right.
Anybody else coming, or is it just me and Ed?
It's just you and Ed.
Just really fast.
Enjoy.
Okay, and you got people there have phone numbers for us. So if you need something, in the middle, you think of something, just give us a call, and we'll shop on demand.
Sounds good.
I'm gone.
Cool. I guess as far as the air stuff, Will, you're square.
Yeah, I think so. If I have questions, I'll shoot you a thing on Slack.
I have a question for Will since we've got him.
Yep, we sure do.
You know what the power draw on the big Safecast air box is?
Yeah.
You know which current it draws?
I don't know offhand. You should probably budget more than 500 milliamps. I mean, it'll run off a USB, but I'd budget more than because the PM sensor has a little fan on it, so it needs at least 250 milliamps, I think.
Okay, well, I'm looking to put the power. I was going to put power into the DC to DC converter, and it says 9 to 36 volts. So
Yeah.
I've got an 11 and a 11 point something volt battery that I was going to use, but I'm trying to figure out how long it's going to run if I need to put something bigger on it.
Yeah, I don't know offhand. You might just put a little measure the current going into it or something.
When you say it runs, it can run from USB. Does it mean I can run it on 5 volts?
Yeah, so that means if you want
You can run the whole thing off of power it off a USB on the Teensy.
the headers and.
Okay, because I've got a lot of portable rechargers for phones that I could plug in that have a USB output. But
Yeah, you might want to.
needed higher voltage or something.
That's just if the reason I put the DC-DC converter in is if someone was going to use like a long power run, we could deal with some drop on that. So it has a pretty broad voltage that it'll run off. But you can take that off and run it off of either 5 volts going directly in or the USB into the Teensy.
Okay.
I would unplug the DC-DC converter though. Just
yeah.
I haven't tried like running it off USB with the DC-DC converter plugged in and not powered.
Well, I think my first try is just going to be I'm going to put the right connector, the one that goes into the box on the outside, on one of my drone batteries and just run it from 12 volts. Because that doesn't require me to do any modifications, even move a connector inside the box, and it's the least disturbance.
Yeah.
Might not be efficient, but if it's only pulling 500 milliamps, then one of my batteries will run it for about 7 hours. So I think we're okay.
Yeah. You know what? Don't worry about this. This is too far.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
I think they're going to check the draw to get a sense of
I can't.
how long you can run it.
As long as it's under an amp, I'll just put a drone battery on it. It'll run for like 7 or 10 hours. And I already got the connectors. We're fine.
Yeah. Cool. Hey guys, if you want to keep hacking, you can, but I think we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Rob and Ed.
But if it'll run from 5 volts, we can run it from one of these, and if it's 500 milliamps, but that'll only run it for about 4 hours.
Yep. Yeah, see, you've got them started. I've told them to stop, and they just keep going.
Okay. Well, they're curious now. They want to know how much it draws, but I don't know how they're going to figure it out without disconnecting something.
300 milliamps.
300 milliamps. Okay. If the battery I put in my pocket will run it for 10 hours.
10 hours. Fantastic. Yeah. No, they've just got a multimeter plugged in.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Well, there you go.
Okay.
Heating up or
Up to 280. Huh.
no, but from real, it's heating up all the time, or it's starting up and heating, then go switch off.
Well, I think we only want to run for a couple of hours, so one of my old drone batteries will run it for long enough.
Cool.
Okay. See everybody. See Ed in an hour, and everybody else in about 2.5.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Have a good one, everyone.